'Cause like a princess she was laying there, moonlight dancing over there. She woke up and took me by the hand. She's gonna love me in my Chevy van, and that's alright with me.
Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, and welcome to, I don't even know which version or what episode of Van Chat this is, so we're just going to call it Van Chat, bam, with question marks, and I'll go back and figure that part out later. Ugh, what happened? What goes on here? Why does it do this? There. There you go. That's the best way to start a podcast, making a bunch of weird noises, like a mope. All right, so it's the middle of the night. And I'm not going to apologize for that because the best people are up in the middle of the night. All the babies and old people are asleep. I had a consulting gig, a low-paying consulting gig this evening, Sunday evening, for whatever reason, and attempting to, make a couple of bucks where I can. So that means I had to go across town, come back over here, and it's the middle of the night. But guess what? That's if everything goes according to plan. I don't have a lot of time left, so I need to get some planning done, and I figured I could do that by myself, moping the whole time, or I could go live on the internet. All right, so we're calling this a Van Chat, and we'll see who all shows up. Doing this on the big channel. I'm eating some hot soup at the moment. It's cold here, super cold, and I am going to see who shows up. So like I said, this is a Van Chat, and we used to do these every Sunday night, I don't know, for about 34 years. And, it was a lot of good times, a lot of births and deaths in that 34 years. Different models of vans were created. We had a few models dedicated to the show. But, over time, everything, it rusted out and ended up falling on hard times, and had the show up on jacks for a long time. But a while back, we dusted off the rust and cleaned off the windows, and started driving it around. Got a ticket, had to put it back up on blocks for a while, but now we're back on the road again. Don't tell anybody, but I just figured out. I basically went online, found a picture of somebody who had a temporary tag. So I blew it up, went into Adobe Illustrator and trimmed out the tag part, took that to my new printer, printed it out, stuck that on the back of this Van Chat, and that's how we're going to drive around. So as long as we drive fast enough, no one will be able to see. It's just a printout of a shitty JPEG. All right, so this show is designed to do a couple of different things. We talk about the van. We talk about the Gun Show Loophole Tour, which is pretty epic. And then whatever specific tour we're on, or leg of the tour we're on. So I see some familiar faces out there. We're using a thing called the Duck, and it's not that good. It's kind of snooty. I don't pay for it because I'm cheap. So up at the top here, you're going to see a little snooty looking duck with a monocle. And up in Canada, they worship the duck, and they also worship the queen, or the monarchy. So if you can't imagine, up in Canada, there's nothing more regal than a duck with a monocle. That's why they picked it as their thing, their mascot, or their liter. I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's the thing we're using. So I can do this, bam, 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 right? So this is the only reason I use it. Otherwise, I'd be using guntube.org, which is better, and it's run out of North Carolina. This is run out of Canada, which is basically communist, but it's free because it's kind of communist. They don't know what they're doing. It's uh, anyway. So I see some familiar faces. What I'm going to do, unlike the coward chats that happen in the middle of the day, where it's all scripted, it's programming. It's to manipulate you. It's to make you buy stuff or to make you do stuff, make you vote a certain way. I don't know. We don't do none of that games here. So there's a link to join. And if you're good, you'll get into the thing. If you're not, you just won't get into here. But hopefully somebody will join in. You know my deal. I don't script these things. None of my stuff is scripted. So I'm going to get sick of talking here, especially because I got this soup getting cold and it's super hot. Or I mean, it's super cold here and I'd rather eat the soup when it's hot. So hopefully somebody will jump in. We're going to do a couple of things tonight. Talk about the tour, talk about the van. I have to get some prep work done. And I'm going to shut up. So we'll see if anybody jumps in. Do I have anything else to play here? I really don't. I figured somebody might jump in by now. So let's see what we got going on here. I recognize most of the names. So I guess we're just sitting here in silence while I eat some soup. I hate listening to people eat. There's some chats out there where people, I don't know what they think. Maybe it's something they do intentionally, or they just don't even realize it. But you know, they're eating celery and potato chips and all kinds of crap on thing. I'm not going to do that to you. So we're just sitting here in silence while I eat some soup.
Just what kind of soup are we talking about?
Salty ass canned vegetable soup with some corn.
Oh, right on. I had some chili that I had going in the slow cooker for about the last 36 hours. I did a run at some chili dogs that I used to be a fan of when I was a kid, and ooh, not a good choice. Rode the indigestion for about 3 hours through the early morning, and I remembered, oh, dude, try some milk, and chased some milk down there, and it was too late. But I recovered enough that I was willing to put myself in harm's way again tonight, and man, it was good. I took some tortilla chips and mashed them under a glass in a bowl, and I sprinkled them across the top and dropped a couple teaspoons of sour cream down, and yum. Kat was way checking it out too, but she didn't get to try any. She's she's a an inquisitive little thing, so I don't imagine that Marshmallow gets to try the veg soup, does he? Does she?
No, she acts like she wants to. She doesn't know what she's thinking. No, she doesn't know. So I remember whenever the last time I tried eating a burrito, I got like wicked heartburn, and then because I don't get heartburn because I don't ever eat anything. I'm like an old person. I eat mild, bland everything now. So I got wicked heartburn, and like same. I was like, for whatever reason, I don't get heartburn ever, so I totally forgot about eating one of them chalk tablets or whatever, which I have a zillion of from back in the day when I used to eat real food. So yeah, same thing. Like, well, a little bit different. I had that and I was dying. And I'm like, oh man, well, what was I thinking? What was I eating that burrito for? And then at some point, I'm like, oh, duh. And then I think I ate only one, or maybe I ate two. But about 2 seconds later, boom, like just it's like turning off a light switch.
Yeah, that can be brutal. My favorite thing my freshman year to have out on a hard drinking Friday or Saturday, well, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday for about a year there was Quick Trip's early TVP burritos. I got spoiled on those like foot long hot spicy ones, and the squidge of TVP is one of my favorite things. I still will seek them out, but they're not what they used to be, is anything these days, I guess.
Like their recipe change or something.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, textured vegetable protein, like people I think should be like way more to open to that, because people who eat processed foods consume a lot of that unwittingly, and it's not, yeah, it's not unhealthy. I mean, if you try to take a carnivore and feed them a tempeh Reuben or something like that, they're not going to dig it. But if you tighten up your preparation skills and a little sleight of hand, some illusion there, and I've had people chomp on them and be like, "Oh wow, I haven't had this," and they want to know if I made my own corned beef. And I went, no. And I try to remind them that one of the easiest things that has one of the best flavors is a piece of the bovine that we don't eat much here in the United States, and that's tongue of all things. It tastes just like roast beef. And I've noticed that chains like Who Hot, the Mongolian grill things, if there's even still a deal these days, that's what they have in their meat trays. And people, it just says beef. It doesn't say, la lengua or something like that. But I got caught once on it because I'm like, that's really amazing marbling and or not marbling, but muscle strand.
Slice thin like ham or like a lunch meat or something, though, right?
Yeah, because they freeze it and then they shave it, so it's super thin, and they can just walk it around the flat walk and get it done in a couple of minutes. Which of course is the way that you should be slicing any meat for a stir fry anyway, and on the bias, so that you're getting the most tender take on it, and yeah, as thinly as possible. I don't do a lot of stir fry cooking anymore because I don't have an appropriate gas range, and I don't want to spend what it'd be for either a butane powered wok ring or something like that. But I have a family size wok. The thing's big enough to bathe a kid in. Uh, so yeah, I mean, one of these days when I do big batch stuff, I used to take it along to and use it on campfires. Actually, when I used to go to uh, Unitarian Universalist retreats and just do fireside preparation of stuff, and it's just flash and done, and everybody's super stoked because as the morning hours wear on and the embers die down, the warm food is still coming.
All right. So appreciate that. That gave me a chance to get some soup in me. Like started the chat. I just basically started the chat because I didn't want to. I set it up and I didn't want to go too long, and I figured somebody would jump in. So thanks for jumping in. And I had just heated up some soup, and very much like when well, you mentioned you had a recipe there, but barbecue was talking about his like fancy recipe for sauce or whatever. He had like 15 different ingredients and did all kinds of fancy preparations or whatever in order to get the sauce the way he likes it. I would grab a can of soup and I put it in a thing to get it hot, like a pan, I guess, and then I doctor it up with corn and some onions because that's what I had, and then I ate it. So very fancy preparation. So anyway, I feel better. I got a bunch of hot soup in me. I have a cup of coffee here. As I started out the show mentioning, I just had to go do a thing. Well, I didn't have to. I went and did a thing that was in the evening. So this was the first time I was able to jump back and get into some pre-trip preparation potentially. And figured I'd do it live. There's no point in, I guess there is some point if you're just trying to prepare some kind of neat production value or some kind of neat prepared presentation of a tour, then I guess I wouldn't need to do this online. But my goal with the things I do is to encourage others to participate in this fun thing called the internet. Not necessarily the platforms anymore. The platforms are getting on my nerves, and I think a lot of people can figure out why. That the platforms are having, I think, some issues. That's going to turn out to be a giant quagmire as far as when we're looking back at this whole thing. But the internet's amazing, and very much like the highway system here, that was built back in the old days, when they had no idea what was coming, what they were going to be able to use, and what that infrastructure would, create the potential for. They built that thing with something else in mind, with protection of the country and the ability to move things via railroad and truck. And what it, again, the infrastructure created is, what gives this whole planet its face today, because of our influence, and that infrastructure allowed us to get to the point where we had that influence. So anyway, I feel the internet's very similar set of parallel there. And anyway, so we're talking about the van, which means we're talking about touring, and that means, for me, that means 2A. And 2A, again, for me, is not just here's 2A. Now, why don't you go do something else, buy some shoes, or eat some tapioca pudding? But instead, 2A is fundamental. I think it's really neat, and I'd rather dig in with a knife and fork and just really get into it. So with that, we're going to be talking about the tour, and what the hell? I guess I was talking about the web, and the ability to chat or what? I don't know where I was going with that thing anymore. But what the hell? It's late. I guess I was saying I'm going to do this stuff live because I'd rather see people dig in and do something. You can always get better, but getting started is tricky, right? Getting started, getting people to get doing something is a different challenge, I guess. And it's a super easy technical hurdle. It's a super easy skill set. Literally, pretty much everything out there is designed for little kids, designed for youngins to do it with what's the word? Without even thinking. So don't put too much thought into using these things. There's certainly a lot of thought you can put into it after you've started using it, but start using it. And I guess I'm going all over the place, but it is late when we're recording this. We're doing it live, and like I say, it's not scripted, and gotta get back on where the hell I was going with this whole thing. I do this live so that you can experience the nuts and bolts. You can see what the software is we use, what the processes we use. If you want to contribute, like DJ, jump in. Like don't be scared. There's people watching this. Be part of the conversation out here. A couple people already said that they're doing stuff, so they're going to be part of the text chat because they know I'm about to start encouraging people to be part of the conversation. But as in addition to that, be part of the planning. If you've got some kind of knowledge or awareness, or what am I trying to say, experience, that's what I'm looking for, with planning tours or something, I'm always looking for it. If you're thinking about a tour, ask questions or what. I guess you could go to sleep, whatever. Like I say, I'm drinking coffee and I'm not going to sleep. We do our shows in the middle of the night, or I'm at least comfortable doing my shows in the middle of the night because the best people are up in the middle of the night. So anyway, we're going to plan the tour a little bit. We'll chat about whatever comes up, because this is, again, part of a conversation here, so you can help steer it, literally. And then, let's see, I need to figure out which of the museums are even open. Any other stupid ass concerns because of the whatever business that's going on right now. And then, well, we'll take it from there. I'm not going to push it. We don't need to stay up all night. I mainly wanted to find out if these museums are even open. And because there's potentially, I think, 11 altogether, if everything comes to whatever maximum potential, I guess, then I might be on the road for a little while, and that would mean quite a few museums. So I'm going to dig in, and I don't know if DJ's got anything to say. Ken, you're kind of jumping in here in the middle of nowhere. Appreciate it, but I don't like to keep them on the spot. You're asking out there what state people are in?
Yeah, I'm always curious to know. We got 11 folks, and I got Woods out there, and Ozzy checked in, and the DM Foss is here. Jacob Villa went ahead and mentioned that he likes to chew carrots and celery like a damn horse. And yeah, so I kind of like to know where we are all around the horn. And Gunmetal Guy USA, haven't seen him in Daily Gun Show at least chats. But he says he's at work and can't use the phone, but he's gonna have a listen here and there. So let's see. Oh, Roy's checking in from California, he says, and so is Jacob. So we got a bunch of left coasters. It's still kind of early for, well, it's not early for you guys, but it's like what, about 11:30? So I think, yeah, G and I are in the 1:30 a.m. range.
Oh no, wait, hold on. Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm not in California time. So yeah, it's late, but it's within reason, right? It's late here. So
Yeah.
now I forget. I never really lived on the far East Coast, which is what I call, the far East Coast over there. And then there's
Mhm.
the Central Time Zone, where I lived most of my life, I think, in the Central Time Zone. And then there's this Mountain Time Zone that everybody hates. And then there's the Pacific Time Zone. So out here, because I live half of my life in Pacific, these people, they go to bed at midnight or whatever because everything happens over here, and these people don't realize there's a rest of a world. Like everybody over here just thinks, this is the whole world revolving, around this part of the country or whatever. So, if they decide they're going to bed at 10, they go to bed at 10. But, or wait, is that how it works? So these people, oh no, that's what I was thinking. These people end up staying awake later because whatever, they stay up till 11 or what, because 11 o'clock here is like 7 o'clock here. Wait,
Yep. No, you
o'clock?
followed.
Anyway, so all I'm getting at is um, I think half of the country is kind of tuned in to going to sleep when they feel like it, and the other half kind of stays awake late because if they ever try to reach, watching the same television show back in the day or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, so I don't know which part of the country stays awake later, but I always got the impression people out here stayed awake later. But that doesn't make sense to whatever I was just coming up with. So,
Oh no, that's all right because I totally relate. I mean, yeah, sure, the sun crests on the East Coast first, but it doesn't dip until it's in the Pacific. And what I do is I straddle both. I get East Coast a couple hours before I go to bed, and then I'm on through the day and or on through part of the evening, if not work, staying up the whole overnight and weekends. It's just no doubt about it. So I think the left coast has got some distinct advantages in that they get to consume everything coming their way on a 3 hour, 2 hour, single hour lag. But you're right about mountain time. That's almost a wasted time zone. We divided us into 3 zones. I think people have a lot easier time relating to it because people want to skip over the flyover states of the Midwest, but the mountain is the thinnest time zone we got. Almost useless.
and that's why, because it's a bunch of mountains, so everybody's going to blow it up.
Yeah.
There's nobody in it. All right. So, let's see. Van Rambo. I don't know what that means. I don't know what this means either. One Yan, What does that mean? Sanders. Let's see. Saunders. Yep. So DJ muted. I don't know if he's saying stuff or not, but
No, I just muted because I was trying to figure out what Manayo was. I'm wondering because it was all caps the first time he typed it, if that's an acronym for something, and I just don't know. It's an awfully complex, or not complex, but large one. Manayo.
moon means the moon, and Año means day, so it means Monday, maybe.
No, that's Martes. Lunes, Martes. Yeah. I think Lunes is Sunday.
Well, in Spanish, but whatever country that guy's saying it in.
Yeah.
Mongolian. Let's see. Then we have the Museum of the Fur Trade.
Yeah, did you look that up? I gave you the director's name. They close in on October 31, but you can contact them for appointments. And I was thinking that would just be a glorious opportunity for you. They could throw on all the lights and illuminate the displays and let you get in there without anybody bothering you and get some some good interviews down and keep on trucking. They've got some pretty. I haven't been, mind you, but they got some pretty wicked cool stuff. They got some Kit Carson gear, and a lot of people don't really know about Kit Carson except that he was a frontiersman. But that guy was down in New Mexico. He started out in like Wisconsin or something like that. Ended up being a Union Army general and commanded a cavalry force in New Mexico during the war down there. And yeah, besides being also contracted by folks who were trying to establish the Oregon Trail. So yeah, he was all over the place, as you know, as well as being in our area, north to south along this side of the Rockies for years and years. Interesting cat.
All right, so here's my predicament, and there's again, this is raw, and I ain't doing it right. I ain't reading no freaking directions. I'm just doing. So go into museums and gun shops and stuff like that. I never make appointments, and I certainly don't want to tour other than whatever they do. And that's for a couple of reasons. If you go to some place, as especially in 2020, it was a lot different in 2017, 2007, right? It was a lot different in 2011, but in 2020, walking in with any, and I can't walk in and be like timid because I can't do that anymore, right? I just don't, I'm too old and been around the block too many times. So if I'm going to walk in and act like a YouTuber, I'm going to walk in and act like a YouTuber who's got a channel that's been around for a while, and I'm not going to take no shit. So, I'm going to walk in and they're going to go, oh, this is somebody who knows what he's doing. Blah, blah, blah. I have certain expectations out of what I'm going to, and then they start preening and they start combing their hair and tucking in their shirt. And that's not normally what they'd be doing. And then, they're going to do all this, and it's like, I don't know what they think, honestly. Like, because there's no way to know, but that they're going to have some expectation, and almost certainly it's unrealistic. And my goal is certainly not to impress them or to sell them nothing, to promote if it's a store. I mean, I'd like to promote every gun shop, but in real life, like, just because I go to a gun shop doesn't mean a hill of beans, right? So, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do for them other than, include them in what the overall stuff that I'm doing. So with that in mind, I don't have any interest in like announcing what I'm doing or whatever. I walk in, I do my thing, and I leave. So, and just to put it out there, that's when I go to a museum or something, I don't go like, hey, I am so and so, and everyone else needs to be, we need to go in when it's closed or whatever. So doing something like that, going in when it's closed, if I could chat with the guy and go, look, man, I don't almost give a shit about anything in here. I'm an American, and I'm old, so I understand history, and I have interests in natives, right? All the different pieces of that. I like the country, like the environment and the land. I could definitely be interested. I'm all into. This is a bad picture, but I know from reading about this place that this is one of many fur trade locations. And they picked this one because it's an actual one. And this is just a museum sitting in front of the actual thing, which is more like just a hole cut into the side of a bank. I mean, I'm down with it. But at the same time, like, I don't have any interest in sitting there for like 3 hours listening to, whatever. If I could walk around the museum on my own, yeah, I'd do it. Anyway, I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what my thing is, like what I do with the tour. So when I go, I'll try to, what I'm trying to do is, number one, just go to them. To some extent, I'm a collector. So, by putting my foot in it, I've accomplished a big chunk of what I'm trying to do. But when I put my foot in it, it takes me some time to get there. And it takes me time to find it. Perhaps some of these things are kind of hidden in the town they're in, or maybe it's a pain in the ass to park. I'm experiencing it more than just whatever I can glean from like looking at these pictures like this. So I understand that there's a lot going on, but I have like that's the actual thing. I have less interest. I have less interest in what this thing says as to the whole thing put together, and then close out of it completely and include it with the other 30 that I've been to and the other 30 that I haven't been to that I know I want to, and to know that that's one of my projects that I have as much interest in as I do my Saturday night specials, which have nothing to do with this, which I have with my bullets and my ammo collecting and encouraging people to care about things like ammo collecting. And, all of that all together is how much I care about Second Amendment. So, I'm saying I as much as I like going to these places, that's my level of, so I'm not going to wake this guy up or ask him to do anything. I appreciate knowing that because there's almost no chance I'm going to take that leg of the tour. I'd rather go back to that and do it when I can come up here and hit it when it's just normal and I could just go there on a Thursday or a Saturday whenever they're open and experience it. Because here's the thing, it sucks. And here's the thing, it's my show. So I can go, if it sucks, but I'm not there to promote shit that sucks, but that wastes money and it's middle of nowhere. Like I'm not going to tear them down, but you know what I mean? Like I don't want to go. I've been to things where I've set it up. I just learned this a long time, but if you go somewhere and you set it all up and you go there and it turns out they're unscrupulous, like they're bad people, like I will walk away. Like I'll just stop in the middle of it is totally rude, but I won't even say that. I'll just understand that it's totally rude and I'll just leave if somebody's seriously unscrupulous. But if they're just bad or poor or like not there, it's not right. It's not, there's no need to bring people here. I don't want to be obligated to be there for the rest of the day kind of thing either. So, especially when it's in the middle of nowhere and I could be boogieing on to the next location or do something worthwhile the rest of the day. Anyway, that's a lot to throw out there, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because first, I don't even know like that. I didn't even know first off that they had a season, and that'll definitely happen in parts of the country where they don't get a lot of like foot traffic, people just walking by because they're walking by anyway. And then of course weather, right? So I could totally see, because the same thing happens in Cody up here, where they're only seasonal. But
Western Nebraska turns really shitty about mid-November, and there's no reason unless you got somebody you need to see, over the river and through the woods kind of thing. But one advantage for the time, whenever it is that you make it to the Museum of Fur Trade, is if you blow up that map a little bit and look almost straight shot south, you'll see Alliance, Nebraska. That's where Carhenge is. And you mentioned Cadillac Ranch the other night. Mm-hmm. And I think this is even more impressive. But then again, I'm also kind of Nebraska proud. So, we had our own kook here for a while out there, but it's pretty groovy. And, there's nobody there. It's got a gate, but it's never locked. It's the kind of thing where you can just go and walk around it. And there, in addition to the Stonehenge replica, there are also a lot of metal monsters. So, somebody takes a harrow plow and a couple of sections of a disc and they weld it up together to be like dinosaurs or, creatures, that kind of thing. So it's groovy. And another thing is take your Sharpies, because the cars are just graffiti like all over the place. And I used to stop every time I went out at that latitude west and see if any of mine had made it. They do not repaint over the vehicles every year. But it was only one occasion that mine made it another year. It's also a good place to catch some sun. Let the dog run around and heave yourself up on the roof of something and just catch rays. But yeah, so there's Alliance, there's the Museum of the Fur Trade, and then not only that, but the Nebraska National Forest is right there, kind of almost in between the two, along this north-south highway from the interstate, and then you're just a hop, skip, and a jump up past Smithwick, to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and it's huge and just wonderful to be there. My adopted half sister, Beth, is that's her tribe was relocated there.
That's South Dakota,
And
though. That's South
to
Dakota.
yeah, Pine Ridge. Well, Pine Ridge is actually it's northwestern Nebraska as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
So
but
let me
it's
get
right up there on the South Dakota border.
this is basically then. Oh, let's go back to a regular map. So Bob's out there. Feel free to jump in through a link out there. I'll throw it again. So
And then let me just close that out by saying, then in Rapid City, you probably be pretty likely to be able to score one of your gym showers.
oh,
That's on
nope.
Interstate 90.
Yeah, I can go like this and figure that out real quick. Because I don't just hang out in gyms like some kind of weird gym dude.
Well, no, but
Planet Fitness or whatever. So like I don't go to gyms every day or anything. I have a thing at this one place, and it's well, I don't know. They think they got 500 locations, but yeah, in the middle of nowhere, this is what happens: is there's anytime fitnesses, and there's core fitnesses, and then there's some gyms, but not mine. So I don't think mine does any kind of like, if you got a membership here, you also have a membership there. But nowadays, I really don't know. But anyway, yeah, you like look at Denver, there's a billion of them. But once you get out of the thing, it's not so much. But
yeah, I see that.
what I use them for, I use them for a shower while I'm traveling.
Yep.
You don't need them in the middle of nowhere because most of the time you're just driving through the middle of nowhere. It's not like when I'm traveling, again, I'm not camping. I wish I had enough time to just wander or whatever. I don't. So I'm going places and doing things. I'm usually driving from museum to museum or gun show to gun show. And then I'm hitting targets of opportunity. If I'm driving past a gun shop that I know about, I'm going to, know to hit it. But if I'm just driving down that, I'd like to also leave time that if I'm driving down the road and I see a gun shop, I can stop and spend, again, 5-10 minutes because I don't make appointments and I don't expect them to drop everything and do anything. I walk into a gun shop. I look around right off the bat and make sure that it's, not something weird going on. And then, and I've gone to something like 200 gun shops and I think we've done the math before and it's literally 10%. So I'll go into a gun shop and look around, and if it's worthy, and I always say that because maybe 1 out of 2 out of that 200 were weird, and I just decided to leave. They were just redundant garbage, and I just decided to leave. Like you could just tell that like they weren't there. They weren't going to be there very long, and there was just no need other than to talk about the phenomenon of a fly-by-night. There was just everything about it was fly-by-night, and they weren't valid. They just weren't, And I'm not like only 2 out of 200 were like that. But I put that qualifier on there because I am not going to just, because it's a gun shop, give it some kind of credit or whatever. Anyway, you go in there, you look around, and as long as it's good to go, you ask them, is it okay if I take some pictures? And like say 10% of the time they go, why? And then the rest of the time they're like, yeah. So 90% of the time they're going to go, yeah. And then 10% of the time they'll go, why? And then you go, because I want to share them online. And they go, okay. And then again, maybe 5 shops the whole time I've been driving around for years have said no. It really bothers me because it's so rare and I just don't understand it, honestly. But, and because it's so rare, it's just unusual when it does happen. And, it's one of those things like, what the hell? It drives you nuts. But then I take some pictures of the place and I try not to get any kind of stuff that would be a security risk, right? Like their windows and their security cameras and monitors and shit is their business. Their cash register, anything like that is their business. But maybe the display for the holsters might be interesting. The types of ammo and stock of ammo, like quantity and display, is kind of interesting for a gun person. Just seeing, again, what kind of other things they might have. I'll take 4 or 5 pictures and then thank them for their time. And if they're really cool, and I can tell from the customers' interactions. And if I get it, I'll get impressed every once in a while, just from seeing or observing interaction with customers or something. Then I'll bug them and be like, "Hey, how long you been here and what's up?" And again, I wish I had more time to just wander. Most of the time, then I gotta, again, I don't have nothing else to do, so I get back in the van and start driving. But those kind of things are awesome. Like just being able to go into a shop and experience it is great. But most of the time I'm boogieing, so I don't have time to, even when I get to the destination or whatever, I don't have time to hang out. So it's not like I'm going from hotel to hotel, and because I'm not doing anything except eating and driving, I don't care if I get a shower. I'm an old hippie, so for me, it's just driving across the country on the cheap. And then whenever I get somewhere, I'll usually, ideal conditions, get there sometime during the night, sleep or nap, get to a gym, take a shower, go to wherever I need to go, do my thing while I'm decent. And then, depending on what's going on, do some more stuff during the day, hit a gun shop or a surplus store or something, a gun show, whatever I'm there for, and then start boogieing again. Driving, is cheaper, kind of, than, well, it's certainly cheaper than flying in hotels and then Ubering or something. But it means that you're driving 99% of the time. Like you're really pretty much always driving, and then you get some time to stop. And as soon as you start coordinating with anybody else for anything, like an event that's timed, the gun show will be a certain days, place that's open or not seasonally, but like some places are closed on a Monday or Sunday or something. As soon as you start putting those parameters on it, you end up sitting somewhere for a day unnecessarily, which costs everything. Like it just eats everything, right? It's costing you time and money to be there. And then sometimes you just got to haul ass. Sometimes you got to drive for like 17 hours just because otherwise you're sitting somewhere for 3 days. It's like crazy. So all that stuff is accumulated or become experience, I guess, over the tours and over the trip. So you're kind of catching up, but it's given us an idea or an opportunity to explain what we're doing with the trip. And I know there's about a million different ways to do a road trip, and there's other ways I'd like to do it. If Bob was still down here, we always used to talk about, and it's already, that idea has been stolen, but doing a cannonball run type of thing where a whole bunch of people, each with their own vehicle, heads out. And let's say, ideally from one side of the country to the other side of the continent, and you get a list of, I don't know, opportunities or something, a firearms museum is worth this many points, or a gun shop is worth this many points, an event that might be happening, may or may not be worth this many points. So then you see the adventure that people have exploring our Second Amendment across the country or something like that. So that's, one extreme. The other extreme is trying to do everything on the super cheap and gain as much observation time as possible about these shops in the community, but also do it in a way that, I don't know if it's the word is efficient or not, but at this point, what I'm looking at is trying to turn the times we've had with the tour into something, right? Into some sort of result. And what I'm really looking forward to is checking out some of the museums that are within range, right? That can be seen. And again, to be able to, I personally value being able to go in and check out the bathrooms, what the floors are like, what's the transition between rooms, are there stairs, is the ramp decent? Is there elevators? Are people around to use any of that stuff? Like, is there fire extinguishers? Like, is this place where you can leave kids run around? Like, what's the glass like? Can you take pictures through it? If you're going to do video, is it loud, or is there air conditioning running? Like, would this place be horrible in the summer? I'm looking at like the actual person that wants to experience this museum. And that's the kind of stuff that no tour guide will tell you. So you have to just stand there to do it. But I don't need to be there all afternoon. Now, something like the 45th Infantry Museum, which is one of the best museums in the country in Oklahoma City, is basically free. And, once I know that one and it's literally on my path, like that one I'll go hang out in, like, okay, crap, if I can get to Oklahoma, then I can wake up and spend 2 hours in that museum before I head out and, just absorb more of it or whatever. Anyway, Bob jumped in. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't stop whenever I'm cutting.
No,
off.
no.
Lag and
I
shit.
know.
Just keep talking. Okay.
I just was making the mic available to Bob. How's it up there in Canada tonight, Bob?
Cold, windy. normal.
The usual. Right on.
I much prefer, like, I was listening to you talk about travel in the van. I much preferred my camper. It's too bad the borders are closed. I got the motorhome worked pretty good. My test run was driving it to my new town, like since I redid the motor. So yeah, it was kind of exciting. 2 days before I left, I finally got the motor running. Not that there's anything hard about getting it running. I had to rebuild the carb, but yeah, just hadn't ran it, So it's a break-in and test run was the same, one and the same, and that was driving it to my new town. Like 2 hours. Ran fine.
That's a good. That's 2 hours. That's a good break in.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got like 8 miles to the gallon, so that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
How many feet is it?
What is that? 26, I think.
Holy, you got a land barge there, son. I had a 74 Dodge Tradesman conversion.
Oh yeah.
Extension conversion. Yeah, I had a sink stove, refrigerator box in it, and yeah, that thing was great. But that 360, holy cow, that thing I got like 8 to 10 on that too. Just wishing it was a diesel.
Well, mine's a 460 Ford, so.
Uh-huh.
And it's like on a 1-ton chassis, so she's a hefty girl. That's one thing I really noticed was you could really feel it like on the highway. It just feels heavy. Plus, of course, I was moving, so I had all my ammunition and guns and everything in it. A lot of that stuffed up in the top bunk, so it was really top heavy. It was a fun drive.
Right on. Yeah, the bonus to being able to just pull up pretty much anywhere, and I've never was a fan of the Walmart parking lot just because it seemed like it was all full of sketch balls, and some of the locations you get an overnight manager out there shining flashlights at people and whatnot, but and parks are pretty much wrapped up, and so are the sidewalks by 10 o'clock around here. So just sliding in between a couple of semis sometimes, that was always a good idea as long as they didn't have that reefer cranking through the night, because damn, that just reverberates in my damn. But yeah, so but it's groovy.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was groovy to be able to just pull in pretty much anywhere and pop the window open and section off the curtains from the front seat and pull out turn the couch into a bed and make sure the dog was up there and just bunk down for the night. It was primo. I dug it.
Oh yeah, it's nice. I have a solar setup I've been running, so I took the one off the fifth wheel, so I can run all the computers, and I usually get internet because I got a internet wireless extender antenna where the TV antenna used to be. So I pop it up. You can tune it. So yeah, free internet within 5 miles. Like anybody who's got free internet, like Starbucks and shit like that, I can pick them up.
Oh, that's beauty. I didn't do any of that, but I did learn that some of the rest areas in the United States actually have outlets that they don't protect on the outside. So I'd run my 80-foot drop cord and plug it in on the back side of a rest area, run it out to the parking area, and have power. That was a good time. But yeah, solar's a much better idea now that panels are not so damn fragile and expensive as they once were. I would definitely do that again. I unfortunately had to let her go for scrap, but I'd be willing to do that again. I just need something that's carbureted, because that doghouse is, great access. So.
Oh yeah, just never want to take one out. I'm never going to own another van after this one. Like never, ever again. That was the worst engine change I've ever had to do in my life.
All right. So I've been looking, and Saunders one closed on the first Saturday in November. So that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to see. That one's not close or anything. It wasn't. It was not a priority, but it was certainly would have been getting halfway across the damn country to see it. I'll get rid of this crap. And let's see. So if we're in Tulsa, the BB gun museum is in Rogers, and then this Saunders Museum is in Berryville. So where the hell is Berryville? It's not that far away. So it was looking at not necessarily super far away, but through these craggedy things. Damn, now I can't even find it. But anyway, so that one isn't even open. I would have to call and see if by some chance they happen to stay open later, which I can't imagine why they would. So that means it's not really worth digging into. There it is. Oh crap! It isn't really that far. It's just on the other side of that lake, really. So I don't know. Maybe I'll still double check on that one. It would be neat to get over there because that's where Nighthawk is, and if they'd let me in again, it would be neat to compare Nighthawk 2012 to 2020. Otherwise, though, I'd look at the Daisy Museum is open. They just have stupid masks or whatever, but so that's only something like goes to say an hour and a half something. So that's like a 3-hour trip from Tulsa. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Well, the other one I looked at was the Panhandle Museum, and it says also that it's open. So both of the two museums that are new that are wish list or on the for sure to see list are in Amarillo and in well, you could just say Fayetteville. So that means that from Tucson hitting this one on the way to it, that just means I need to arrange it so that I'm here on a day that they're open, which isn't too tough. More than likely, hitting this in the morning would mean that I could probably hit one of these in Oklahoma City. So that's 2 museums on the way to Tulsa. While in Tulsa, or at the same time, I'm going to get back up to Woolarock and to the J.M. Davis. So that's 2 more. So that's already 4 museums, or maybe 5 if I can get to 2 in Oklahoma City. And then I'll hit Rogers. So that's already up to 5 for minimum. So that's pretty cool. And 2 of those 5 will be new. And I've only been to Woolarock once before. So that'll be some time to spend at Woolarock. And I don't know, I guess monitoring the other ones, kind of seeing, if anything's changed or what the differences might be. And then it's going to depend on the campaign. So the campaign is to get to Tulsa and back, and that's basically what we're looking at. It's hitting 5 museums, 2 new ones at the bare minimum. Then depending on how long the 4-day camp or how well the 4-day campaign goes, we'll either dip down into Texas, and I'm hitting the one Texas museum, but it's up here in the Panhandle. I don't know of any. Or no, wait. No, I don't know of any others down here. Somebody was mentioning this other one in Tulsa, so I guess I could potentially hit that one if it's worth hitting and I can get to it. But there's probably more stuff to hit in Texas, and depending on which route we go with, I'll keep talking about other routes here. That Texas route will either drop down from Tulsa and hit where Clover's at and then head over. Or I'm thinking, depending on time and everything and what kind of, like you're saying, gas money we got, go down, hit Tulsa or Clover's area, and then maybe dip down and get to where Matt's at. I just always think it'd be neat to hit the tip of Texas down here. I don't know where he lives, but I would drive basically to this road and then down this road. And then, I guess down to this road. And then, it looks like you can literally go to the southernmost point of Texas. So I would try going there. Getting a
That's
picture.
not a river, is it?
Yeah, that's the Rio Grande.
Wow, that takes a weird ass turn.
Well, this is, at this
Look at
point, I wouldn't be surprised if this is alluvial or whatever that's called. Like this is permanent. But anyway, so I don't know if that's feasible or not. It's something like an extra day or maybe more to drive down there. But I've mostly just hauled ass through Texas. It depends on, how things work out. That's actually not the most intriguing way, only because going into Texas, seeing Clover's place, neck of the woods, would be interesting because I haven't been over that part of Texas before. Seeing Matt's neck of the woods would be interesting. And then the rest of Texas sucks butt. So there's nothing else in Texas I'm really all that interested in. I've already lived in San Antonio. I have been all around these other places, and I'm not saying there's not a million gun shops to look at, but what are you gonna do? So then the other route would be going to Nebraska, and like Brady just said, not only is it closed, but not only is it closed, but it's closed. So that route would take a long time more, a lot more gas and everything. And the advantage of it would be that, well, no, it wouldn't be an advantage. The disadvantage of it, another disadvantage of it would be that it doesn't have a direct route back to Tucson. So I'd have to make a decision, go past Salt Lake City, which is fairly awesome, or go past Denver, which, oh snap, wait, I've only been to both of these twice before. So I'm kind of fond of both, and I'd like to see both more. So that's not an easy decision. Sometimes it's better when you only have one option, right? Because then you don't have to make a decision. So anyway, so then I guess another route would be to go to Tulsa, check out that the BB gun museum, book back, drop off all freedom, and then head to LA and steal a laser, and then come back to Tucson and burn holes in things with that laser. So that would be another option. And weirdly, driving from Tucson to Tulsa, back to Tucson, LA, and back to Tucson is as much distance as driving all the way to freaking Nebraska and back down. So that's that. Let's see, was there a third option? The third option would be go to Tulsa, go to the museum and BB gun museum, but then come back, potentially hit the other museum in Oklahoma City, go up this way, which I'm getting so sick of going this way. It sucks butts. As much as it looks lame to go from Oklahoma City into their panhandle, and they're proud of their panhandle, and then go north into boring Kansas. Look, even the map doesn't even bother putting color here because it's so boring. Like, that is not a fun trip. It's very boring. But then you get to Dodge City, Kansas, and they rebuilt their museum recently. We just were looking at that the other day. What the hell is all this shit? Other day. Smell. Turn the volume down and block that guy from my channel. How about that? And it's as easy as that. So then, like that, so you don't look at his fucking number. Where the hell are we at? We could go to Oklahoma, come back up through the boring Panhandle, Oklahoma, and Dodge City, see the new museum there. And that's always an excuse to me, instead of coming diagonal, which I don't even think there are roads diagonal. Instead, I go to Colorado Springs, hang out with Dragon Man. So even though his museum's closed, I feel like I could go to Dragon Man and be like, hey, man, can I go look at your museum for a minute? And he'd be like, okay. I kind of feel like that would happen. So then I could go by Denver, hang out with Honda, and check out more gun shops up there. Then come back, the Gunsmith Museum. Oh, snap. I could try finding that other Gunsmith Museum. Holy crap. This one seems like it's getting more destinations racking up. I totally forgot the gunsmithing museum or gunsmithing places. Where the hell are the other gunsmiths? The gunsmithing places are in California, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. So I guess I already live by one. The other ones are in California, and I don't think there's anything to Seattle. Anyway, so I could go to 2 gunsmithing places, and then Red Dawn, and then Whittingham Center, NRA Museum, friends in Albuquerque, and BMC Tactical, which is a place you should always go if you're in Albuquerque. And then, again, super boring way home. Can't even count how many times I've driven home from Albuquerque. So that one though is I think I've driven that way home 3 times. There's only so many ways you can drive home from Tulsa, and that's not anywhere near direct, but it's the most interesting way, I think, even though it's pretty boring for pieces of it. Anyhow, so that's a little bit of what Bob jump out of here. He didn't like it, and uh, or whatever. He was trying to talk shit about Vance. He didn't want to keep talking shit about Vance. So that's the 3 routes to take. And then I guess a little summary of what kind of museums, sort of to try to figure out for myself, like which other museums I might need to check out. I kind of already know Dragon Man's. The Boot Hill Museum. Okay. No, I don't care about that. Plan a visit. 362 days a year, so that's good. It's only closed on a couple of holidays. Hours are temporary and subject to change. All right, looks like it's open every day, 9 to 5. So that's pretty easy. I could call them and double check. It doesn't look like they got anything on their website, though, to tell you to quit, to stay away or anything. All right, so then what else is there? Getting there. There's that one. Oh, I guess we could look at the 45th Infantry.
Just out of curiosity, because you're talking about the laser cutter, have you ever made a wire cutter?
I've seen
Not
them,
the
but I've never made one. I've seen what you're talking about, but I've never.
Yeah, if you get one of those U-frame um, like little mini wood saws or oh gosh, it's a flexible blade that you tighten into them. I can't think of what those are called. Hacksaw. The little hacksaws. You just take your wire, wrap it between those 2 points, and then down to your power source. And if you use a lantern battery, it'll be a little bit slower. The higher the voltage, the hotter the wire, and the cleaner the cut as well. But you've got steady hands from all the precision work you do with patch manufacture and stuff like that, so it shouldn't be an issue at all. You might try that for just for shits and giggles. It's a couple bucks at the uh, Harbor Freight. Where in Cali is the laser cutter?
LA.
Ah.
Let's see. So, visit. Looks like they're staying pretty cool about it. So that looks like it's open. And then, I'm not going to the Cowboy Museum. Cowboy Museum's all right, but I don't have that kind of money. I think it costs like $15 to go in there, and it's mostly cowboy guns. So, let's see. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure J.M. Davis is open, but I'll double check. Oh, don't care about Wikipedia. We care about the actual museum. Looks like they started doing a curator's corner type of thing, and then I started missing that. Let's go see when these videos are being made. 2018. Oh man, I totally missed that. That's good to see, though. So then, going into the main page. I don't see anything about not doing anything. So I'm guessing if I guess I just assumed if the gun show's still going on, then why wouldn't the museum be open? So I think that's still the case. And Wool Rock, which I know is open because I keep looking at their Instagrams. $3,400 acres. All right, so let's see. So that was really what I wanted to accomplish. Is I didn't want to drive all the way over there and find out that the two museums that I wanted to check out, weren't going to be open or something. But looks like they are. Cowboy museums are cool. They are. It's just that it costs like $14 and they won't let you take pictures. So I don't go to it as often as I go to the 45th Infantry Museum, which is free. You can take pictures and it's military guns. So that one wins out. But most of the time, I'm booking through Oklahoma City, and I'm not stopping anyway. It's usually when I'm leaving Tulsa that I've got more time, and then it just kind of depends. If you leave Tulsa in the morning, you're hitting Oklahoma City, a couple hours later. So that's not that bad. If you leave Tulsa at night, though, you're not. Oklahoma City's closed when you get there. So even if you leave Tulsa afternoon, it's pretty tough to get to Oklahoma City and still visit anything that's open. So I don't know. Kind of going all over the place. I don't know where Bob was going. He was talking about his camper or what. You guys were talking, or I guess we were talking about, or I was trying to explain, the way that I tour in the respect of time frames and how much time I spend at a destination or whatever. Bob jumped in and was talking about he's not a big fan of the camping or whatever, the stealth camping or whatever it's called, having a small van. I'm not going on a vacation. I don't go out for a comfortable road trip. I do it, in a way that's inexpensive first and then doesn't hurt me second. Because if I were sleeping in my car, let's say, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd ache in the morning, right? I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't need a fancy padded bed. I can lay on a hard rubber floor of the van with usually the poncho liner or two. And the dog's super happy just, being usually no more than 2 feet from me and having a big giant pad that she lays on, big pillow thing that she lays on. And I don't eat much and, we do fine. I bring a laptop with me and we're able to do it. I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm just, doing it on the cheap. Bob's not interested in that. He's retired and he's running around doing his thing. And he's also not interested in hauling ass everywhere. And I have to basically haul ass. If I'm not here doing something, make rent, paying the rent, then my rent don't get paid. Then I'm walking around homeless. So I have no buffer and, I'm not living one of those lives where I've got an excess of money or whatever. So when I'm not here, when I'm on the road, not only does it cost me time, whatever it costs, gas and food and shit to be on the road, but, it's costing me because I'm not sitting around treading water. And since I'm only treading water, if I'm not treading water, if I'm not here to run the little bit of trickle of business that we got, then it all goes under. So I don't get on the road and go, oh, I'm on vacation. I got nothing else to do. I get on the road and go, how the fuck can I efficiently get to as many places as possible so I can get the fuck home and try to recuperate everything? And it's almost all I'm still paying off credit cards from DC trip last year. These aren't profitable trips. These are explorations into our community with the hopeful, the overall goal of being able to do something with that insight, right? Something to help air traffic control. I don't know. I knew a guy in the back in the day in the Army that his job was weather. He would go forward. He wasn't quite forward uh, forward observer, but he assisted the forward observers, and it was just interesting getting that. I never knew about us stuff. I think it's not top secret, but we're the only country that cares about weather. Other countries just kind of lick their finger and shoot. We send guys with sophisticated weather shit and find out what the weather's going to be or what the weather is. Anyway, and we got pathfinders, right? People that go out and figure out where we're going to land. We got scouts that go out and figure out where we should even look for landing zones, right? We've got other guys that don't need to know about that go out and figure out with the indigenous folks, what are actually needs, what do we got out there? And we have the same thing with 2A. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to probe around and see what's important and what's useful and what's extraneous. And, that's the goals of this tour. And then to take our experience over the years. It's not just mine. There's lots of people involved in this. Bob's one of them. There's lots of people that make this thing happen. And then our people that help consolidate all the info, the data, and then turn it into something useful. So, the bigger picture is to take the data over time and to accumulate it into something that can be used to see trends and to see, weather patterns so that we can more accurately predict weather in the future. 2A weather, right? How our adversaries are going to, how they're going to act strategically and how they're going to react tactically, right? When we hopefully start working more coordinated efforts towards victory. Nobody else carry EC. What does that mean? Nobody else carries daily. Oh, I see what you're saying. Trying to get people riled up. It might not be the right time. Maybe in the middle of the day, people will be more active, but at night, probably truck drivers, people aren't earning an honest living, working, stocking shelves for all the people that don't think about, that things have to be put on a shelf so that they can grab it, or grab it, look at it, and put it backwards and in the wrong shelf. People that are, probably grading papers in the middle of the night because teachers have to work day and night because they don't get enough time in the day. And then all the regular people just doing cool stuff in the middle of the night, right? Awesome things that happen in the middle of the night that all the boring people can't do, can't hang with. All the babies and old people, don't want to know about. So, thanks for showing up and having an old-fashioned band chat. I'll probably kill this one because it got too weird. But I don't know. Hopefully it was interesting. I accomplished some stuff, and now I'm going to go sleep for a bit, get up, and try to figure out if it's worth sending breaks to somebody to have them done like on the road. I really, really, really don't want to take the van to someplace and do breaks. Or maybe I'll call around tomorrow and find out that I'm pleasantly surprised that brakes aren't going to be as expensive as I thought. But got to figure out something to do with these brakes tomorrow. Any ideas?
Do you have rotors on all four corners?
No, it's rotors in the front and drums in back. It's a van.
Okay. Because I've got a yard. I've got 2 pull yards within half a mile from me, and a recycler that has stocked shelves for all makes and popular models. That's just up the street, and I'll be coming to Tulsa. So if you wanted to arrange the labor with someone down there, I could bring you the. You need fronts and backs.
Well, hold on. So I appreciate it, but having a bunch of heavy metal given to me in a parking lot in Tulsa isn't what I'm talking about necessarily either. So I already looked.
I meant that I could deliver them. I could deliver them to whoever you might make the arrangement with.
No, I hear you. It's not like
okay.
I have a fleet vehicle, dude. It's not. I appreciate it, but there's rotors, like a billion rotors between me and you. Like they're not hard to find or anything.
Gotcha.
Just to buy them online, they're $200 for a set with brake pads, right? If I go to a sucker place in town, it's $216 for one. So that rubs me the wrong way. If I go to call around tomorrow, more than likely they're going to tell me it's $600 for brakes because 400 of it is brakes rotors, right? So that's where I'm thinking I could call this. I go to, what is it? Rock Auto, the online place or whatever. And I can, if I know somebody has got a shop, then I'll just have the brakes sent there, and then a shop that'll be willing to throw my thing up, and then let me use Air Tools or whatever, work, whatever, get, to get the facilitate the actual things happening. So I'm not trying to, figure out how to do this with like the wrong kind of parts and, a welder. I'm not SV guy, like trying to let people learn how to weld on my van or nothing either. I'm just trying not to pay sucker bet, I've never gotten my hands greasy prices, but I'm also trying to create some sort of project here. What is it? An opportunity for people working together and for creating some community that isn't social based, right? That's more just community based. So ideally, we're going to find somebody who's along that route, somewhere in Arizona and New Mexico, Panhandle of Texas, most of Oklahoma, and ideally, I don't want to go too farther than that. So somebody along that route who has a shop where, like I say, if I could go to Rock Auto, I could get the brakes here Tuesday. I ordered them right now. I'd have them Tuesday, and it would still be cheaper than buying them in town. But I don't really feel like waiting until the day I'm leaving kind of thing to like do my brakes, and as soon as they get here, and then do them. Now that this time of year I could. It's not like it's so hot or so cold I couldn't do them whenever they show up, but if they don't show up, then I gotta wait till the next day, and then I'm waiting to, if they don't show up till 2 p.m. I'm not leaving till 5, whatever, right? And that's if everything goes according to plan. So that's a little bit too cutting it close to the thing. But on the other hand, like I say, if I can find somebody who's like, oh yeah, I can throw this thing up on the lift, and if you're pulling through on sometime Friday, have them shipped to me, and I'll get here on Wednesday, and that way you're only paying the $200 for rotors instead of 200 each. So anyway, that's basically where I'm at with those. But like I say, I don't know. That's getting the word out about the campaign is one thing, because that's like, hey, throw a couple of bucks at this dude's trying to do a project or what. But then how do you get the word out to a bunch of people who might be mechanics along that route, who might have time and then are willing? Because okay, I'm along that route and I got time, but come on, it's my only day off for like the whole week, or that's my only day off for 2 weeks or something, right? But the other thing is, I really would rather have it done before I get to Tulsa. The good news is, I'm trying to think, I don't think there's one curvy road between here and Tulsa. I mean, except for like an exit ramp or something. Like the roads really are not treacherous at all. So you could probably get from here to Tulsa without brakes if I really had to, like just sticking my foot out the door. But I'd really like to find somebody in southern New Mexico or in Arizona that I could take it to and get that done on the beginning of a longer trip. Because the other thing is, I want to do the spark plugs, and Bob was over here ragging before about how vans are so bad in a van chat. Not is it just unethical, it's immoral to do that in a van chat on a Sunday. So yeah, the spark plugs ain't so great, but all the other awesome advantages of a van are so great that the spark plugs, they only have to change like every 5, 10, 100, 20 years or something. Big deal. But that's where I'm at. Yeah, I need to change that spark plugs. And unfortunately, I have to agree with Bob. It's about a pain in the ass. Can I turn my rotors again? Nah, the rotors are old as hell. I don't think anybody ever changed them. They were, there was a post office ban before I got it, and I don't really think it's been ever turned. So they're wonky. And like I say, it's $200 to get new ones. That was part of the project, is to get new brakes on there. So I'm not adverse to paying for brakes, and I don't know what I could possibly save. I think Pink and I, the reason I'm also not looking for core returns or whatever that's called, when you just take an old rusty one and turn it down. When Pink and I looked, the new ones were, what's 200 divided by 2 minus the brake pads, probably $70 a piece, maybe. The ones like that are pulls from just Rex or whatever are like 60. So it was like not that big a difference. So figured just, and plus when you're buying them new, they're just pulls anyway, right? They just pull them and clean them up. It's not like they're building new rotors for an old van anymore. I guess I don't know. But no, I think turning them isn't worth it. I think, like I say, we were looking at this. I should have been doing this a long time ago. So this was at Pink's place in Ohio in 2000 and I don't think it was the second time. So I think it was the first time, like 2017. It could have been. And I've just been driving on shitty brakes ever since then. I don't even want to think about how many miles it's been. But most of those miles are back east where the roads are smooth and straight. It's really bad when you go to Vegas and you have to go up and down through some canyons and stuff. I don't think I'll be coming back through any canyons or anything. Right on. Appreciate that. And I actually sent a bunch of stuff out to you today and to DJ today and to Foss today and not to Bob.
Say, before we sign off, can you check the Indiegogo? I listened to Yankee for the first time in a long time, and he pushed traffic and threw the link in the chat several times.
Right on. I was before I left for this consulting gig thing. I was listening and I noticed that they said something, so I was pretty stoked about that. Yeah, it's at 36% already, and it's
nice.
I mean, it started last night, so it's technically like a day into it. So that's not bad at all. I mean, 33% of the way there in the first day-ish, of it. It's not like I knew it was coming and I prepped everybody and asked everybody, hey, everybody get in the starting blocks and we'll all go at the same time. It was, oh crap, you know what? Clover's pressuring me into this and, I'm going to do it because Clover's doing it. He's doing it. My brewery's doing it. And then, so I set it up on Saturday and then asked a couple people in email if they'd help spread the word. And yeah, pretty cool. So I'm going to keep. I already said in here, even if we don't raise the funds, this funding is to get ready for whatever tour. I'm at this point going to assume we're going to go ahead and continue at whatever rate and fund it. But either way, the money's all going to the van. So like I said, the unfortunately, if this would have been like 3 days earlier, it would have been a no-brainer. Just have the brakes sent here, fix them myself, done, right? But I don't need to have them on a lift. It's just that if I sent them to, let's go back to that map. Let's say I'm in Tucson and I'm going to Tulsa, so I find somebody in Albuquerque, and then I send the brakes to Albuquerque, and then I just leave because I can't. And like I just said, I don't really want to wait and send them here and then have to wait for them to arrive and leave because I've got 2 days worth of drive, right? So let's say I send them to Albuquerque and they get there as I'm leaving, and then I go to change my brakes out. If it's like a paved parking lot, it's not really a big deal. But if it's like, dirt or sand like I'm used to out here, it's just a pain in the ass. Like I can do it. I could do it if I had to, but I'm not trying to set myself up for that situation. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I'd rather have like a shop or somebody who's competent, who's got a decent garage. So there's got to be, of all the people that listen to us, maybe I rag on race cars too much, but somebody's like got to have a nice shop. I mean, when I worked on computers all the time, everybody I knew had race cars or a motorcycle or some sort of weird car that was an extra car that they just souped up all the time because it was a thing they could take apart and put back together that wasn't a computer, But maybe we get all of that out in our guns, when we want another thing to take apart, we buy a gun. We don't have a bunch of cars. But I think there's probably a bunch of car people. I mean, I know a couple of them. Unfortunately, they're like in Ohio. But anyway, if I can find somebody that's got the facilities and, like I say, the timing works out, that would be another part of this. Because, I mean, raising funds, I could raise funds, by opening up my Rolodex probably. Well, I'm sure I could. And then finding some company and saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to stroke you just the right way, or I'm going to, tell you that I'm going to do blah, 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 and then maybe do it or not, but who cares because I'm going to get my trip funded. Or I could put, wrap the van in your name or something, or I could, every time I open my mouth, say how you did it. And I could probably get this trip paid for, not just paid for, but in a way that I could go hotel to hotel in a rental car. I could probably do it in a Lamborghini or something stupid. But I'm not really looking to do it on the cheap because I got nothing else to do, or I'm like against staying in hotels. I do it on the cheap because it's your money, because it's somebody else's money, right? But I'm also doing this thing as a crowdfunding project because I desperately want the people that are doing better stuff than me, the more important stuff than me, to understand that crowdfunding is, I think, the way to win. Like the way that we're going to beat Bloomberg and the 10th richest human being on this planet right here. All these people, you have any idea how many people this are? There's people on this planet that are innumerable. I mean, there's probably more grains of sand out there and there's probably more drops of water, but there's a lot of human beings on this planet. And if you find the richest person on this planet and you go to the next richest person, you only can go back 10 people. And that motherfucker is the one who's fighting us with our freedoms, right? We don't win that by finding the 8th most rich person. We don't win that by finding the 10th or the 11th and 12th richest person. We do that by beating his 1 million fucking dollars with a dollar in the hand of 1 million people. And we don't just blink our eyes and have 1 million people become Borg, right? We do that by figuring shit out. And in a free country, you don't get told. I mean, if I could yank you by the shirt collar and make everybody do it, I've already done it. I'm bigger than most of y'all. I'm pretty much bigger than all of you. So I could have done that. If I could have done it, I would have done it. I guess what I'm saying. But you don't do that. You figure it out by doing stuff and figuring it out. And there's people doing that all over the place. But they're also sitting around going, "Oh shucks, I shouldn't use Patreon because I don't like to ask for a handout. But I got a subscription to Netflix. I'm giving them a handout. I got a subscription to Disney because I'm giving them a handout. They give me a Yoda show, so I give them a handout because I'm a capitalist." Like, oh no, wait a minute. You fucking pay a subscription for what you value, right? And if what you value is effort towards something that you figure is important or maybe critical, like what the fuck? We should be supporting people ourselves and understanding that $100 you're spending on, I don't know, just pick anything that you don't think you really need to spend $100 on in an increment of time. It could go to Tony Simon. It could go to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. It could go to Skip's Tactical. It could go to all the people I don't know or the people I don't even like, right? Because I'd rather see them succeed than another motherfucker who's either exploiting us out of some other passion or fear or just some shit that doesn't matter, like yellow tennis shoes or something stupid, right? Like, we got a ton of money in our third largest economy on the planet. And like I say, we've got ways that we can figure that out. So I'm going to continue to do these things as crowdfunding and make do with what results we get from it. But with all that said, whoever listened to this is the only one that's going to hear it, because I'm about to end this and I'm going to shut it down so that no one ever gets to hear it again. So you got to experience something live. Too bad you didn't join in. If you're one of the mopes that just sits around not joining, then you didn't get to be part of the thing that only exists